I'm Amanda. I'm a MFT Biofield practitioner. I have just loved it. I got into it. I'm a product of chiropractic. My dad's a chiropractor and had always been exposed to some modality of muscle training pretty much my whole life. And just through different changes of life, it would evolve and go into. My dad was in a health crisis when my youngest was just a baby, and it was the MFT that was able to find the reason and the solution for it. So that really got my attention, and just different health things with different family members. I had been a massage therapist for 15 years, had stepped away from that, and always just had the love for the human body and the love for nutrition and what the body can do when you give it what it needs to do. And I realized that I needed to get into this work because my dad wasn't going to be around forever. We live in a rural community where we don't have many resources for natural, good, holistic health. And so I stepped into it. And in the past 10 years that I've done it, it has just grown and grown. And Dr. Frank and his team never stop developing it. They don't just sit and think like it's good enough. This will do. They just keep growing it, and it becomes more fine-tuned and refined. And the energy behind it is so complex, but it's so simple to do it when you learn the procedures. And they're kind of like fail-safe, safe in it, that you just, as long as you're checking your work and you're checking the field at the beginning and the end, and you're expanding that health field, you're going to make your patient feel so much better that it's going to work. And you're able to do this with so much less time. It's non-invasive, and it's a lot more cost-effective than a lot of other modalities out there. And so that's, one of the huge things that I love about it, because everybody wants to save money, but I live in an area where there's just not a lot of extra money for people to spend on things like that. So it's a great resource to have. And then also the heart of my practice is to be holistically minded. You cannot be healthy unless you're healthy in body, mind, and spirit. And with the emotional unwind experience and the other unwind, it really covers the whole holistic health. And it's just my heart, it's my passion, and I love helping people through it. And it's so simple and easy. I love it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Kathy Tagg, and I practice in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I love biofield testing. I've been doing it for probably about 7 years now. And it makes a total difference in my family's health and my health. When I first was introduced to MFT, really to have the experience of a regimen that's decided by the MFT protocol, Biofield protocol, I could feel the difference the very next day. I had more energy, and I could tell that the things that I was challenged with, the symptoms I was having after I was having my kids, they just kind of went away. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. So I've wanted to translate that into my practice. And I'm a chiropractor, so I was adjusting all the time. I would say now I'm probably adjusting 30% of the time, and I'm doing the biofield testing 70% of the time. And it has made me relevant during the post-COVID era. There's so many people that are looking for something else other than the standard allopathic choices. And so it makes you more relevant, and it empowers people to take their health back. The unwinds are unbelievable. The emotional unwinds. I had a little boy who he fell. He was only about 1 year old, and he just started walking, and he was on the playground, and he was swinging, and he face planted. And as soon as he got up, he didn't want to walk again. In fact, he didn't walk for a few weeks. And his grandma brought him to me, and she's like, I think there's something wrong with his hips. And so I checked him chiropractically. I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong with his hips. And I said, why don't you let me see what's going on with him emotionally? So I did the EUE experience with him, and humiliation came up because everybody saw him faceplant. And so after we did the EUE experience with him, he was walking within a couple days. So anyway, that's the power of biofield testing and an unwind experience, and I invite you all to find out for yourself.
Hi, I'm Mark Zumhagen. I'm a health practitioner in the Chicago area, and For 24 years in my practice, I was delivering home births with delivering babies at home with a practice. And that practice stopped in about 2010. And I was seeing a chiropractor at the time doing some nutritional work, and it was working. So I joined, I went and got training in muscle testing and was seeing some good success. But about 6 years in, Dr. Frank came across my path. He was recommended by one of my nutritional reps to go to his seminar, and it was life-changing. It was one of those experiences where I instantly, even as I was in the first hour of the seminar, just was amazed at what he was doing, because it was definitely a step beyond anything I had experienced with any kind of AK or muscle testing work. And sure enough, I've been doing this 9 years now, and it's exceeded my expectations. I've seen more people getting well than I've ever imagined. Used to be terrified of weird things coming to the office. Now I love it. I'm looking forward to what's going to be the answer, because it seems like there's always an answer. I love what Dr. Frank has discovered in his whole team. This is vitalistic medicine. We're trying to find what is the deficiency, what's holding back the life force that God put into our bodies, what's holding it back. And there's a lot of vitalistic practices out there, but I don't know of any other practice that takes on the energy field itself and looks exactly at what's going on with the energy field. And that's the definition of vitalism. We want to expand the energy field. There's many practices, chiropractic, acupuncture, homeopathic, that will expand the field, but nobody measures the field and then uses the field to figure out what's going on in the body. So it's a very unique approach, but it's very successful because it's going right to the source of the communication with the body. So the systems he's developed, I say it's not overly complex, but it's elegant. And it really gets down to the bottom of people's problems, and people are extremely thrilled with the care. So I can't recommend it enough. If you have an opportunity to go to a seminar or get training, I would do it fairly immediately, because it'll change your life.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Esther Jimenez. My love story with MFT is pretty empowering. I found MFT at the lowest point in my life, which is when I was trying to find help for my father, who was in congestive heart failure and needed a heart transplant. It was in 2018 where I was searching everything I could in order to be able to help him. And I found Frank in Boston. With just being in within an hour of hearing what I had heard, I knew that this was what was going to help my father. This was the missing piece. I literally called my husband, told him to drive my father up 4 hours. Didn't know if he was going to do well, being that he only had 8% heart function. And so with that being said, I asked Frank if I can bring him up and use him as a demonstration to see what we can find that the hospital couldn't find in 30 days of him being hospitalized. With that being said, he made it here that night. Frank took him up into his room, and within 15 minutes, we literally found where his issues are, which were at the bottom line of parasites, which I had asked the hospital to actually test, and they refused. So with my heart full and in knowing that MFT is the solution, I have been practicing ever since then and finding the same type of results for my patients. In my office, whomever comes in and I know is dedicated to finding the help that they need, we don't turn them away, with whether it be heart transplants, liver transplants, dialysis, all different types of cancers. We know that we could address every single issue that comes in through our office with confidence, because all we know that we have to do is follow the energy. Literally, everything is possible with MFT. Nothing is impossible. It's a matter of what limits we have as far as how daring and how confident, as well as how committed your patients are. But in regards to MFT, it is a gift. It is a gift for everyone. It is a gift for humankind. It is a gift for our pets. My dog ended up with spleen cancer as well. He was given 2 weeks to live, and we extended his quality of life, for another 1.5 years. He was called as the miracle dog by his vet. And unfortunately, there aren't enough of us that need to get out there in order to make a difference in this world. And we need to build an army, because MFT is the key that we've been looking for and missing and searching for. And I promise you, you too can get these results if you're willing to dedicate yourself to asking the right questions. And again, just follow the energy.
I have been seeing Frank for well over 30 years. The first experience that I had with him was I had ear infections from the time that I was born until I was in my early 30s. And after going to see Frank, he gave me Spanish black radish. And from there on out, I've taken it every day, and I have not had one ear infection since then. So for me, that was life-changing, because I had been on antibiotics from the time I was born, and that led to other gut issues and that type of a thing. Also, I went through chemotherapy and radiation, and saw Frank on a weekly basis at that time. And seeing him helping my body through that process, I maintained working a 60-plus hour a week job, and I had no downtime. I had no additional side effects from that, and I was extremely healthy through that situation, as strange as that sounds. I was. And so I just can't say enough good things about the situation. Cool. My field right now today is well over 6 feet. So it's just a matter of, like with the Spanish black radish, when I have it, my field is big, and if I don't take it, I have an extremely small field. So something like that can be just life-changing.
My most interesting case was a 3-year-old male, was a heart transplant patient. He could not use supplements because he was immunodepressed with medications by the doctors. And so it presented me with, you can't test the field to give supplements, so what do you do? My only alternative was to use the EUE, which is the emotional unwind experience. On our first unwind, when he came back, he was a lot calmer. And as we went forward, she wanted the unwind every session we had. As we went forward, he began to say his first words, Mom, then it was Dad. Then as we continued, he was saying sentences, and then he became comprehensively aware. So we do an unwind every time I see him, and the progression every single time we do the unwind now, we're seeing advances in all his symptoms.